The sky above the colony shimmered with the faint light of two moons. People on the ground looked up occasionally, but most had grown used to the silent presence of the alien vessel hovering quietly in orbit. For months it had been a ghost in the sky, neither moving nor responding to any signals sent from the colony below. Scientists had examined every bit of data they could collect, but the ship remained mysterious, silent, and seemingly lifeless. Commander Alara Dane stood at the observation deck, her eyes fixed on the faint silhouette of the vessel. It had been her responsibility, along with the rest of her team, to study it, but lately, it had begun to feel less like a scientific task and more like waiting for a moment of destiny. "Something's different today," said Lieutenant Joran, her second in command, as he leaned beside her. "The sensors are picking up subtle energy fluctuations. Tiny pulses. Like it's alive," Alara frowned. "Alive. It's a machine, Joran. Machines don't pulse like hearts." "Maybe not, but maybe this one does," he replied, his voice low and careful. "Look at the readings. They're rhythmic." Alara's heart quickened. Could it be? After months of silence, was the vessel finally reacting to the presence of humans below? She adjusted her headset and sent a signal to the lab below, instructing them to monitor every detail. In the laboratory, Dr. Lyra Vance was already at her console, eyes darting over streams of data. The pulsing energy signatures were subtle but undeniable. "It's changing," she whispered. "It's like it's breathing." Her assistant, a young engineer named Kale, leaned over her shoulder. "Breathing? Ships don't breathe." "No, not like humans," Lyra said. "But in some way, it feels unaware, as if it's waiting for something or someone." Outside, the vessel began to shift. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, it tilted toward the colony. Light rippled across its metallic surface, reflections dancing like fire across its hull. The colony's residents, unaware of the science team's discoveries, gazed up at the sky. Children pointed and some adults whispered quietly, sensing that something extraordinary was happening. Suddenly, a sound echoed through the observation deck. It was faint, almost like a hum at first, but it grew louder. Then it became unmistakable. A voice, not human yet clear, spoke a single word. A name. Alara froze. "Did you hear that?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. "Yes," Joran said, his eyes wide. It spoke. The name lingered in the air, strange and melodic. None of them had ever heard it before, yet there was something familiar in its rhythm, something that tugged at the edges of memory. Lyra and Kale exchanged nervous glances. "We need to record this," Lyra said, urgency in her voice. "This is unprecedented." Kale quickly adjusted the instruments, capturing every pulse of light and sound emanating from the vessel. The name repeated softly like a chant, though it seemed random at first. Then patterns emerged. The vessel was trying to communicate. Alara took a deep breath. "Prepare a message," she said. "We don't know what it wants, but we can't ignore it." As the team worked, a strange phenomenon began outside the lab. Lights flashed across the vessel's surface, creating a network of glowing lines that stretched over its hull like veins of energy. The colony's instruments went wild. Every screen displayed waves of data that no human had ever seen. The vessel was alive, and it was awakening. For hours, the team attempted to respond. Messages were sent, questions asked. The vessel did not answer in words, but it moved in patterns, tilting and shifting as if acknowledging each attempt. Then, in a moment of stillness, the pulsing slowed and a single beam of light shot down from the ship, connecting with the colony's main observatory. Inside the observatory, Alara felt a strange warmth as the light enveloped her. She could see symbols forming within the beam, shapes, diagrams, and points of light moving with precision. It was a star map, but one that no human had ever charted. "It's guiding us," Joran said, awe in his voice. "It wants us to follow it, or understand it," Lyra added. "It's showing us something, an invitation, maybe." The colony's council called an emergency meeting. Scientists, engineers, and leaders gathered to decide the next step. Fear and excitement battled for dominance. Some wanted to shut down communications entirely, fearing the unknown. Others, like Alara, believed this was humanity's first real step into a larger universe. Alara addressed the room. "We've spent months watching this vessel, trying to figure out if it's dangerous. But what if it isn't a threat? What if it's offering us a chance to learn, to grow? We cannot ignore this moment." After tense debate, the council reluctantly agreed to continue interaction under strict observation. The vessel, as if acknowledging the decision, pulsed brighter than ever before, then retreated slightly into orbit. Its hull shimmered with energy that seemed almost like a heartbeat. That night, as the colony slept, the vessel hovered silently again. But inside, in the minds of those who had witnessed it, questions swirled. What did the name mean? Who or what was it trying to reach? And why did it awaken now after all this time? Ilara couldn't sleep. She returned to the observation deck, staring up at the silent giant. The hum of the ship echoed faintly in her mind. She whispered the name aloud, as if saying it might bring understanding. Saren, the vessel responded. A ripple of light traveled along its surface, gentle but unmistakable. It was as if it had heard her, recognized her voice, or at least acknowledged her. Somewhere deep inside, the crew sensed a connection, a bond forming between humans and this mysterious construct. It was not just a machine, it was an entity, aware and curious, waiting for humans to take the next step. And in that moment, humanity felt small and infinite all at once. The stars outside the observation deck seemed to brighten. The vessel had awakened, and with its awakening came the promise of a journey unlike any the human race had ever known. As dawn broke over the colony, the light of the ship bathed the landscape in a gentle glow. Ilara knew one thing with certainty. The world they had known was over. Something new had begun, something extraordinary, and the vessel had chosen humanity to witness it. The colony had woken to a sky painted with soft silvery light, the mysterious vessel hovering steadily above. Unlike before, there was a purposeful energy in its presence. Commander Ilara Dane stood at the observation deck once more, her eyes tracing the curves of the ship's hull. It was no longer just an object of study, it was a presence almost alive, and it had spoken a name. Saren, she whispered, recalling the word that had echoed through the observation deck the night before. There had been no mistaking it. The vessel had spoken clearly, deliberately, as if calling out to someone. Lieutenant Joran joined her, carrying a tablet full of readings. The energy patterns have changed, he said. They're more directed, almost like it's trying to communicate with us. Ilara nodded, her mind racing. We need to understand it. If this ship is aware, it's reaching out. And the name? It must be a key. Down in the lab, Dr. Lyra Vance was already working furiously. Her team monitored the signals and data streaming from the vessel. Every pulse of light, every vibration, every subtle wave of energy was being recorded. It's more than a ship, Lyra said, excitement and fear in her voice. It's trying to teach us something. Look, these patterns, they're repeating, almost like a language. Kyle, her young assistant, leaned closer. But it's not human language. No, Lyra agreed. But there's structure, rhythm, intent. It's deliberate. And I think the name it spoke, Saren, may be the first piece of the puzzle. The Colony Council convened once again. Many were uneasy. They worried about what it meant to have a sentient vessel in orbit. Some feared that the ship could be dangerous. Others, like Ilara, felt the stirring of possibility. We cannot treat it as a threat just because it is unknown. Ilara addressed the council firmly. We have before us a chance to understand something extraordinary. We must be careful, yes, but we must also be open. After hours of discussion, the council agreed to allow the scientific team to continue contact under strict observation. The vessel, as if sensing the approval, pulsed with light that swept across the colony, gentle but insistent. It was not threatening. It was guiding. Later that evening, in the quiet of the lab, Lyra and Kale discovered something remarkable. The vessel's energy pulses could be translated into simple symbols. When combined, they formed what appeared to be a set of coordinates. Joran frowned at the readings. Coordinates? Are you saying it wants us to go somewhere? Yes, Lyra replied, her eyes wide with awe. Or at least show us where it's trying to lead us. The patterns aren't random. They're a map. Ilara entered the lab just as Kale highlighted a section of the holographic display. Look at this, he said. The projection shifted, showing a distant star system that was not on any human map. It's pointing there. The room went silent. The coordinates were far from the colony, beyond known space. It would take months, perhaps years, to reach it with conventional ships. But there was a strange urgency in the vessel's signals. It pulsed more rapidly when humans lingered too long over the details. It's like it wants us to move quickly. Lyra whispered. But how? How can we respond so fast? Alara looked out the window at the vessel, bathed in starlight. We find a way, we have to. Whatever this is, whatever Saren is, it has chosen to reach out to us. That means there's a reason. That night, Alara couldn't sleep. She walked the observation deck alone, watching the stars blink in the darkness. The vessel's lights pulsed slowly, almost like a heartbeat, and she imagined it listening, waiting, understanding. Then the hum of the ship grew louder. It was a sound that resonated deep in her chest, soothing but strange. And then again a voice echoed, not a word, but a single tone that seemed to carry meaning. Alara whispered the name aloud. Siren. The lights on the vessel flared brightly in response. For a moment, the colony below was bathed in silver brilliance. The name had been heard. The connection had been acknowledged. The next morning, the team gathered to interpret the vessel's signals further. They found that the star map was not just coordinates. There were additional markings, lines connecting stars, clusters highlighted in ways that suggested paths, hazards, and points of interest. This is incredible, Lyra said. It's showing us a route through the stars. Safe passages, energy flows, maybe even resources. This vessel knows things we could not imagine. Kyle smiled, unable to hide his excitement. It's like it wants to teach us. And Sarin? Maybe that's the name of the one who built it, or maybe the name it gives itself. Alara considered the thought carefully. Either way, she said, we are being chosen. Humanity is being trusted, and that is rare in the universe. We have to honor that trust. Over the next several days, the team worked tirelessly. They developed a plan to send a small crew to follow the vessel's guidance. The mission was unprecedented. Humans had never traveled beyond their known space with a sentient alien ship as their guide. Still, doubts lingered. Some crew members worried about the unknown dangers that might await them. Others wondered if following the vessel was wise, whether it might have intentions beyond human understanding. But Alara felt no fear. Curiosity is our greatest strength, she told the team. It is what brought us from our first settlements to this colony, and it is what will carry us forward now. We cannot turn away from discovery. The first human ship prepared for launch was sleek and small, designed for speed and agility rather than brute force. Its crew was carefully selected, scientists, engineers, and a few of the most experienced pilots. All understood the risks, but each carried a sense of purpose that went beyond fear. As the launch day approached, the vessel pulsed brighter than ever. Its lights formed patterns on the colony below, almost like a farewell gesture. And then just before the crew boarded the ship, it spoke again. Saren, the voice whispered. This time the word carried warmth, recognition, and invitation. It was not just a name. It was a call to action, a bridge between species, a bond forming across the void of space. The human crew looked at one another, their nervousness replaced by excitement. For the first time, they felt that the universe was larger than they had ever imagined, but also that they were capable of reaching it. The vessel began to move, slowly descending from orbit, guiding the crew to follow its path. Lights from the ship reflected on the launch platform as engines hummed to life on the human ship. Ready? Alara asked, standing at the edge of the platform. The crew nodded. Kale gripped the console tightly, his eyes fixed on the vessel. Ready? Alara took a deep breath. Then let's follow the light. And with that, the human ship lifted off, leaving the familiar world behind. The vessel's pulses guided them, a steady rhythm that promised answers, adventure, and discovery. As they rose higher, the crew felt something extraordinary. They were not just explorers. They were chosen witnesses, partners in a story that spanned the stars. The universe seemed alive, waiting to reveal its secrets. And the name Serene echoed in their minds, a promise that the journey had just begun. The vessel and the human ship moved together, silently through the endless night, heading toward the unknown, and somewhere in the distance stars shimmered as if cheering them on. Humanity had taken its first step beyond caution and fear. Guided by curiosity, trust, and a name that held a secret yet to be revealed, they moved into the vastness of space, hearts filled with wonder, ready to discover what lay beyond. And so, the awakening continued. The human ship moved steadily through space, its small engines glowing faintly against the darkness. Outside the windows, stars stretched endlessly, and the alien vessel, now slightly ahead, pulsed softly, guiding the way like a lantern in the night. Commander Alara Dane stood at the observation deck, her eyes tracing the shimmering lights that marked their path. "Every star looks the same when you're this far out," Lieutenant Joran said, joining her quietly. "But somehow, following that ship feels like following a heartbeat." Alara nodded. "It's more than that. I feel like it's guiding us, teaching us." And the name it spoke, Saren. It's like it's calling not just us but the whole of humanity. The crew had settled into a cautious rhythm. The journey was long and no one knew what awaited them. Yet there was a strange comfort in the vessel's steady pulses, a reassurance that they were moving toward something important, something extraordinary. In the lab, Dr. Lyra Vance studied the data streaming from the vessel. Patterns in the energy pulses continued to emerge, forming intricate diagrams and sequences that seemed to convey information about the surrounding space. "Look at this," she said to Kale, pointing at the holographic display. "The vessel isn't just guiding us. It's teaching us how to navigate this region. There are currents of energy, safe passages, and areas to avoid. It's considerate in a way." Kale leaned closer, fascination in his eyes. "It's like it knows what we need before we even ask. Saren, maybe it wants us to learn, not just follow." Ilara called the team together for a briefing. "We are venturing into unknown space," she began. "Every step we take will be new. But we are not alone. Saren has chosen to guide us, to show us a path. This is a rare opportunity for humanity. Let's respect it, and let's pay attention to what it's teaching us." The days passed slowly, each filled with careful observation and minor adjustments to their course. The human ship followed the vessel, tracing the paths indicated by the glowing pulses and star maps. At first, the crew feared the unknown dangers of uncharted space. But with every successful maneuver, their confidence grew. One evening, as the crew gathered in the observation deck for a brief respite, the vessel's lights began to shift in a pattern unlike any before. Lines of energy formed shapes that resembled structures, almost like cities floating among the stars. The crew gasped. "What is it showing us?" Kale asked, awe in his voice. "I don't know," Lyra admitted. "But I think these might be ruins. Remnants of a civilization we've never known. And it's showing them to us." Ilara felt a thrill run through her. "It wants us to see, to understand. This is why it spoke the name, Saren. Maybe Saren is connected to this civilization, or maybe it wants us to learn from it." The vessel continued to guide them, and soon the crew approached the first point of interest. Through the viewing panels, they could see faint shapes drifting in space. Giant structures, geometric and precise, hovered in silence. Stars reflected off their surfaces, creating patterns of light that danced across the human ship's hull. "It's incredible," Joran said softly. Completely silent but full of history, the crew prepared to scan the ruins. Instruments hummed, gathering information about the structure's composition, energy readings, and possible origins. The vessel remained nearby, its pulses steady, almost encouraging the humans to explore. As the scans progressed, Lyra noticed something remarkable. The energy readings matched the pulses they had been following all along. "These structures, they're alive," she said, eyes wide. "Not like humans or animals, but in some way they're conscious. Saren has led us to a place that has been waiting for us." Ilara looked at the display, trying to comprehend it. "Waiting for us? Why and why now?" Kale spoke quietly, almost to himself. "Maybe it's not just the structures. Maybe the whole region is connected. And Saren is the key." The vessel's lights shifted again, forming a new pattern that pointed deeper into the ruins. The human crew followed, moving through narrow passages of glowing energy guided by the alien pulses. With each movement, the humans felt a growing sense of purpose. They were explorers, yes, but also learners. This was not just a mission of observation. It was a journey of understanding. Suddenly, the ship's sensors picked up movement. Not mechanical, not human, but something else. Shadows flickered across the structures, shapes that seemed to respond to their presence. The crew held their breath. "Don't panic," Ilara said firmly, though her heart raced. "We're not here to fight. We're here to learn. Let's see what Saren wants us to see." The shapes approached, and to the crew's amazement, they began to shimmer, forming patterns that were unmistakably intentional. It was a display, a form of communication. The vessel's pulses intensified, as if translating the symbols into something humans could grasp. Lyra studied the readings, her fingers flying over the console, It's a language. Not one we know, but it's structured, precise, intelligent. Saren led us here to witness this. It's a message. The human crew felt a thrill of connection, a bond forming across space and species. These ruins, these beings were not threats. They were keepers of knowledge, and Saren was their guide. Over the next several hours, the crew worked tirelessly, attempting to interpret the message. The vessel's pulses and the ruins' lights formed a symphony of information, revealing insights about energy flows, interstellar navigation, and even hints about the history of the civilization that had built these structures. Ilara felt a surge of pride in her team. Humanity was being trusted, chosen to witness knowledge far beyond anything they had imagined. This was not just a discovery of ruins, it was a discovery of their potential, a promise of growth. As night fell across the stars, the vessel paused, hovering near the largest structure. Its lights dimmed slightly, then pulsed in a pattern that almost seemed like a heartbeat. The human crew understood. This was not the end of the journey. It was a beginning, Kale whispered almost reverently. Saren, thank you. The name lingered in the air, connecting humans, the vessel, and the mysteries of the ruins. In that moment, the vastness of space felt smaller, more intimate, and full of possibility. Ilara knew the journey ahead would be long and challenging. There would be unknown dangers, puzzles to solve, and mysteries to uncover. But with Saren guiding them, and with humanity's curiosity and courage, she felt certain they would succeed. And in the quiet hum of the ship as they drifted through the ruins, the crew felt the weight of history and the lightness of discovery at the same time. They were witnesses to something extraordinary, chosen to explore, learn, and grow. The vessel pulsed once more, its lights bright and steady, pointing toward the next cluster of stars. The crew prepared to follow, hearts filled with anticipation and wonder. The journey through the unknown had begun in earnest, and humanity's place in the universe was opening wider than ever before. Saren had awoken them, guided them, and now, with trust and courage, they would see what lay beyond the familiar stars, and so, the voyage continued through alien ruins, mysterious signals, and the unending brilliance of space. The vessel led, humanity followed, and together they moved toward the next chapter of discovery. For the crew, the stars were no longer just distant lights. They were destinations, teachers, and friends, and Saren, the name spoken once in a quiet echo, had become a symbol of hope, guidance, and the limitless potential of humans reaching for the cosmos. The human ship glided silently through the heart of the alien ruins, guided by the steady pulses of the vessel they now called Saren. Each structure they passed was unlike anything humanity had ever seen. Towers of translucent material that seemed to hum with energy, bridges of light spanning vast distances, and enormous circular chambers that glowed with intricate patterns. The crew felt awe and curiosity in equal measure, their minds racing to understand the civilization that had built these wonders. Commander Ilara Dane stood at the observation deck, her eyes following the rhythm of Saren's light pulses. Every structure here is purposeful, she said softly. It's like a story etched into the stars waiting for us to read it. Lieutenant Joran, standing beside her, nodded. And Saren is our guide. I've never felt anything like this before. It's not just showing us the ruins, it's teaching us. In the lab, Dr. Lyra Vance and Kale were busy analyzing data from the scans. The information was overwhelming, but patterns were beginning to emerge. Look at this, Lyra said, pointing at the holographic display. The structures are aligned with energy flows across the sector. They aren't random. They were designed to channel energy, maybe even communicate across light years. Kyle's eyes widened. It's almost as if the civilization wanted someone to find them. And Saren knew we would come. Ilara entered the lab, her face illuminated by the soft glow of the holograms. If that's true, then this journey is more than exploration. We're being trusted with something important, something that is waited for humans to discover. Hours passed as the crew moved deeper into the ruins. The human ship followed the glowing corridors, carefully avoiding areas that emitted unstable energy readings. Every chamber seemed to hold a lesson, a secret or a memory from the civilization that once thrived here. Finally, they reached a massive chamber at the center of the largest structure. The walls were covered in patterns of light that shifted as the crew moved closer, forming what appeared to be images, symbols, scenes, and even beings that no human had ever imagined. "This is incredible," Joran whispered, unable to hide his awe. "It's like walking inside a living history book." The vessel's pulses intensified as the human crew examined the chamber. Lights moved across the walls, highlighting certain images, then fading to reveal others. Lyra studied the sequences carefully. "These images, they tell a story," she said. "It's the history of this civilization. They lived in harmony with energy, technology, and exploration, but they disappeared. And now Saren has awoken to guide us here." Ilara's gaze swept across the chamber. "Disappeared? How? And why leave all this behind?" Before anyone could answer, a new pattern appeared on the walls, this one different from the rest. It wasn't just images. It was a form of communication, a sequence of pulses that seemed almost like a question. The crew felt the weight of it, the sense that they had reached a moment of decision. Kyle leaned forward, studying the sequence. "It's asking us something. Maybe even testing us, Saren. Is it waiting for our response?" Lyra nodded. "Yes, the patterns match Saren's pulses. The vessel has been guiding us here not just to observe, but to participate. We're part of this story now." Ilara stepped closer to the display. "Then we answer. Humanity doesn't shy away from discovery. We step forward, we learn, we grow." With careful hands, the team sent a sequence of energy pulses back through the ship's systems, mirroring the patterns they had observed. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the walls lit up in response, brighter and more complex than ever before. The chamber seemed to come alive. Shapes shifted, forming a map of the galaxy, highlighting paths, nodes, and connections that no human chart had ever shown. The crew realized that this civilization had been mapping the stars in ways humans had never imagined, using energy, light, and knowledge as a language. Joran turned to Ilara, his eyes wide. "They left all this, waiting for someone to understand. And Saren knew we would. We're standing in the middle of a civilization's legacy." Ilara nodded, feeling a mix of awe and responsibility. "And it's ours to respect, to learn from, and to carry forward. Saren has given us a gift and a challenge." The vessel pulsed again, guiding the human ship toward a smaller chamber nearby. Inside, they found a console-like structure, glowing with intricate symbols. Lyra approached it cautiously. "This could be a repository of knowledge," she said. "It may hold the answers to questions we haven't even thought to ask." As she worked to interface with the console, the walls shifted once more, forming images of beings with elongated limbs and luminous bodies. They moved gracefully across the chambers, seemingly in harmony with the energy flows. Lyra interpreted the pulses. These must be the civilization's inhabitants. They weren't just explorers or builders, they were in tune with energy itself. And now, they're speaking to us through Saren. Kyle stepped closer, his voice low with wonder. "Do you think Saren is one of them? Or maybe it carries their memory?" Ilara considered the thought. "Perhaps it's both. Saren awakened for a reason, to guide humans, to ensure this knowledge isn't lost. And now we are witnesses, learners, and partners." Hours turned into days as the crew explored the central structure. Each chamber revealed new lessons. Methods of energy manipulation, star maps of uncharted systems, and even designs for technologies that seemed to blend with the natural flow of the galaxy. Humanity's understanding of science and exploration was expanding at an unprecedented pace. Yet amidst the wonder, questions remained. Why had this civilization vanished? Why had they left Saren behind? And most importantly, what was the purpose of awakening a human crew now so long after their disappearance? Ilara addressed the team one evening as the ship drifted above the glowing ruins. "We don't have all the answers yet, but we are learning step by step. We are part of something greater than ourselves. And that is a rare honor for any human to experience." The vessel pulsed brightly as if acknowledging her words. Its lights traced patterns in the darkness, illuminating the ship and the ruins in a gentle, guiding glow. Suddenly, a new sequence appeared on the walls, a spiral of energy that seemed to lead outward toward the unexplored depths of the galaxy. The pulse of Saren's light intensified, almost urgent. "It's pointing us further," Joran said, studying the sequence. "There's more to discover. And it wants us to go there." Lyra's eyes sparkled with excitement. "We've only scratched the surface. There are secrets waiting beyond these ruins, and Saren is showing us the way." Ilara looked out at the endless expanse of stars. "Then we follow. We learn, we explore. Humanity has always reached for the unknown, Now we are being guided by a friend, a mentor, and perhaps something even greater. Sarge has awakened us to a larger universe, and it's our responsibility to honor that gift. The crew prepared the ship to continue its journey, following the glowing pulses deeper into the unexplored sector. The ruins, now a place of knowledge and history, receded behind them, but their lessons remained, etched into the hearts and minds of the human explorers. As they moved onward, the crew felt a sense of connection, not just to Sarge, but to the civilization that had created these wonders, and to the vast living universe around them. Humanity was no longer a small species on a single planet. They were explorers, learners, and partners in a cosmic story that stretched across the stars. And Sarge, ever glowing, ever guiding, led the way with every pulse of light, every gentle hum. The vessel spoke a silent promise. There was more to see, more to learn, and more to become. Humanity's adventure had only just begun. The stars ahead shimmered like never before, and for the crew, the unknown no longer felt frightening. It felt like home. The human ship drifted through the stars, following the glowing pulses of Sarge. Each light seemed to carry a rhythm, a quiet urgency, guiding them toward a place that felt ancient and alive. Commander Alara Dane stood at the observation deck, gazing at the distant cluster of glowing points that Sarge indicated. Every star in that region seemed to shimmer with energy, as if acknowledging their arrival. "This is it," Alara said softly. "Whatever Sarge has been guiding us to, it's here." Lieutenant Joran, standing beside her, nodded. "The pulses are stronger now. Whatever awaits us is important, maybe the reason Sarge awakened in the first place." In the lab, Dr. Lyra Vance analyzed the energy patterns streaming from the vessel. "These readings, they're unlike anything we've seen. The energy here is pure, stable, and incredibly powerful. Sarge is leading us to the heart of the system. Somewhere the civilization must have placed its most important knowledge." Kyle, leaning over the holographic display, added, "It's almost as if the entire region was waiting for a species capable of understanding it." "And Sarge chose us," Alara felt a surge of pride. Humanity had come a long way, from a single planet, struggling to understand its own technology, to following a sentient vessel into a part of the galaxy no human had ever reached. As they approached the heart of the system, the crew saw a massive structure suspended among the stars. It was a floating city, larger than any human city on Earth, composed of interlocking rings and towers of glowing material. Energy flowed along the surfaces in streams of light, forming pathways and symbols that were almost alive. "It's breathtaking," Joran whispered. "I've never seen anything like it." The ship hovered near the entrance, and Sarge's pulses formed patterns that almost seemed to welcome them. The human crew understood. They were invited to explore, to learn, and to participate in the legacy of a civilization long gone. Inside the floating city, every chamber, corridor, and platform radiated energy. The walls displayed images of beings with luminous bodies, flowing gracefully as they interacted with the structures. Their movements were precise, almost ceremonial, yet full of life. Dr. Lyra Vance's voice trembled with excitement. This civilization, they weren't just builders or explorers. They were caretakers of knowledge, energy, and harmony. Every structure, every pulse of light. "It's all connected," Kale added, "and Sarge, it carries their memory. It's the bridge between them and us. That's why it awakened now." Alara approached a central chamber, where the energy pulses converged in a brilliant spiral. It was a place of clarity, almost like the heart of the entire system. The vessel pulsed steadily beside the ship, its lights forming a rhythm that felt alive. "This is the core," Alara said softly. "This is what Sarge has led us to." The crew explored the chamber carefully. Symbols and pathways illuminated as they moved, responding to their presence. Lyra examined one of the energy conduits. The patterns, their instructions, not just about technology, but about understanding the universe itself. Energy flows, harmony, exploration. The civilization wanted someone to learn from them. And now it's us. Joran looked around, awe in his eyes. They left this for the future. Intelligent life capable of reaching this far, and Sarge knew humanity could do it. Suddenly, the vessel pulsed more intensely. A new sequence appeared in the chamber. This time, not symbols, but a form of language humans could comprehend through thought and intuition. It told a story. Long ago, the civilization had spread across the stars, guided by curiosity and harmony with energy. They had achieved knowledge far beyond human imagination, but they realized that all civilizations must face challenges, grow, and choose their own path. To preserve their legacy, they created Storym, an entity capable of guiding future explorers and sharing knowledge only when a species was ready. Ilara and her team listened in silence, feeling the weight of the story. "It's a test," she said finally. "We've proven curiosity, courage, and understanding. That's why Sauron awakened us," Kale smiled. "We're part of the story now. Humanity isn't just a species on one planet anymore. We're explorers, learners, and guardians of knowledge." The vessel pulsed again, gently this time, as if approving of their understanding. The core of the floating city shifted, forming a pathway that led upward. At the top, a brilliant sphere of energy awaited, radiating warmth, light, and knowledge. "This is it," Lyra whispered, "the ultimate repository. Everything they learned, everything they valued, it's here." Ilara felt a thrill of awe. "It's more than we could have imagined, and it's ours to witness, to understand, and to carry forward." The crew carefully approached the sphere. As they did, images, patterns, and sequences of energy flowed into their minds. Knowledge of navigation, energy manipulation, and cosmic harmony filled them, not all at once, but in a way that inspired curiosity, understanding, and wonder. Joran exhaled. "It's incredible. We're learning, but we're also growing, not just as scientists or explorers, but as humans." Sauron pulsed beside the sphere, its lights forming the name it had spoken months ago. Sauron. The crew understood now that the vessel was more than a guide. It was a teacher, a bridge, and a friend. Ilara looked around at her team. "We've discovered a civilization's greatest secret. But it's not just about knowledge or technology. It's about hope, curiosity, and the courage to reach beyond what we know. That is the true legacy of Sauron and of humanity." Hours passed as they absorbed the knowledge, explored the chambers, and understood the patterns of the energy flows. The vessel remained beside them, pulsing rhythmically, a constant companion in the vastness of the unknown. Finally, Ilara turned to her team. "We have what we came for. But this isn't the end. It's the beginning. We now have the responsibility to carry this understanding forward, to share it, to explore further, and to honor the trust Sauron and the ancient civilization placed in us." Kyle nodded. "We've been given more than knowledge. We've been given purpose. Humanity has awakened to something greater." Joran smiled. "And the journey continues. There's so much more to discover." The vessel pulsed one last time, brighter than ever, as if sending a blessing. Then, with a graceful shift, it moved ahead, guiding the human ship out of the floating city and back toward the stars. Ilara gazed out the window, heart swelling with pride and wonder. "The universe is vast," she said softly, "but now we know we are capable of reaching it. And together, with curiosity, courage, and respect, humanity will explore the unknown, guided by knowledge, friendship, and hope." As they moved further into the galaxy, the crew felt the limitless possibilities ahead. They were not alone. They had Sauron, the legacy of an ancient civilization, and the boundless potential of humanity itself. And somewhere among the stars, the name Sauron echoed gently, a promise, a guide, and a beacon of hope for all who would follow. The human ship moved forward, leaving the floating city behind, but carrying its lessons, knowledge, and inspiration. Humanity had been awakened, not just to the mysteries of the universe, but to its own potential, and the stars, once distant and cold, now felt like friends, each one a destination, a teacher, and a challenge to be met with courage and wonder. The vessel pulsed steadily, guiding them onward, and the human crew knew without a doubt that this was only the first step of a journey that would last a lifetime and beyond. Humanity had awakened. The universe had welcomed them, and Sauron had shown them the way.